We are mucus-free. 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 We are mucus-free.
Greetings, brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Mucus-Free Life podcast. And we have a really exciting show for you today. A wonderful guest, which I'm very excited to bring out momentarily. But before that, how you doing? Was just on here yesterday with Brother Ehret talking about doing our annual Thanksgiving program, and there's a lot of people that contributed to their own deaths, unfortunately, yesterday, with a good bit of all the turkey and candied yams and this and that and all the stuff that people just stuff their stomach with, just pus and mucus forming foods. And so what we always do is we, the mucus-free community, many of us fast on Thanksgiving and during this time period. And I find this just to be a good time period to fast in general, because there's so much, the vibration is just so weird right now. Just the way people act, the behavior, because people are eating so much worse, and it's like their behavior just gets worse and worse, and it's just. So this is an excellent time, I find, to actually fast and basically do diametrically opposed to whatever what everybody else is doing, which is because it's like you got Thanksgiving, and then you're right into the holiday season with all the various holidays in December, and then you get through to that, and then New Year's. I mean, and each one is an excuse to get messed up in a little different way. So we're gonna say thanks and get messed up on Thanksgiving, and then on Black Friday, I ought to look and see how many people got trampled today. That was something we used to do, is look at the body count, because people would get killed every year trying to get into these malls and wherever to try to be able to do that kind of thing and get a deal. I guess a lot of those deals are online now, but that is so that was, I guess that's yesterday. Today, then Christmas at time, you say a prayer and eat a bunch of food, then go get drunk on a few days later at New Year's, and that's how it goes. That's how we roll. So we like to do the opposite of that. And of course, if you're not in a position to fast and that kind of thing, don't worry about that. We promote the transition diet. Get on the transition diet, start applying the principles, just start cleaning yourself out. You gotta just get started. You just start eating better, start cleaning yourself out, and things are going to go a lot better for you in the long run. I want to share something really real quick for you here. This is the Fire Music Project, firemusicprojectlive.com. So this is what the website looks like. And yeah, this music physiological liberation, that's what me and Brother Ehret's been doing for 20 years, making music that's inspired by lifestyle, inspired by cleaning yourself up. As we say, we're ending Clean That Ass 2021 and moving into Clean That Ass 2022. And so yeah, this is the time, and so in this this is the time when we got to really get into the artistry, bring that into the culture, and that's something that I've seen has kind of been missing. I mean, we try to contribute, but we're going to just try to push it a little bit more, because you got to have art that goes along with any serious movement, any serious cultural movement. You got to have the art with it. And so that's something we're trying to bring to the table. And we have a bunch of great artists in the community. We got a great artist that's going to be on the show today momentarily. So click that link, and I invite you to check that out. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Eli Martyr, who is an independent researcher, self-taught natural hygienist, educator, and professional stuntman. And he played a lot of athletics as he was coming up, a strong foundation in gymnastics, martial arts, and other sports, and has developed a lifelong interest in health. And after obtaining a degree in kinesiology and health sciences at York University, Eli became unsatisfied with what the university had taught him, took his education into his own hands, his real education, and he is a stuntman and actor, and he's been in a number of different, a lot of movies, TV shows, things that you have probably seen. You've probably seen him before and did not know that that's him. So without any further ado, welcome, Eli. How you doing?
Hey, thank you so much for the lovely introduction and the lovely welcome. I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thank you. And oh my God, so excited to be here. So excited to chat with you. I had given my mom a copy of the Mucusless diet healing system, the version obviously that you annotated and you brought to the public sphere. So thank you so much. I think you really helped my mom broaden her understanding and just introduce her to these concepts that are so important for life as we're living it now on planet Earth, with all of these nonsense. I'm already going off here. All of these kind of dietary distractions and superstitions and the lies and the delusions and just on and on it goes. So it's, your content, your channel, it's a breath of fresh air. And so I guess I just want to, first of all, thank you so much for everything that you do.
Yeah, well, thank you for those kind words. Thanks for getting the message out, sharing the Mucusless diet with your mom. And that's this is like hard work, just putting this information, putting this information out there. Just putting that line in the sand and saying, look, everything that we're being taught in the mainstream about diet and health and healing is wrong. And here's what we found. Here's this good news. It's actually good news, but you get beat down like it's like it's terrible. It's like, well, this is actually good news. We can help people heal themselves. Sorry. It's like so. And your site is the Free Melon Society, and
yes.
And so here, let me do a little screen. There we go, a little screen share.
Hey, there I am.
Yeah, so this is he's got a lot of great stuff on here. Definitely check him out on here. Follow him. Also, while we were on here, I had a couple of your action reel, so people know that you're.
Oh, cool.
I'm not gonna feel a thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so like, well, as a stunt guy, so as you guys know, I'm a professional stuntman, and so yeah, we need to, especially in the initial stages, be responsible for putting together a demo reel, just all the actions, all the physical actions that you're capable of doing, and you put them together, and then you submit them to coordinators in your city, wherever it is that you reside. And yeah, this channel, my YouTube channel, Free Melon Society, was originally just a personal channel where I would upload things like this. I only use this demo reel footage for coordinators. But then, after a while, I had a very small following. And it was good because it gave a little bit of a head start in rebranding the channel as something that was actually constructive for the public. Kind of the obligation kind of started getting hit with that obligation that I need to do something about all of these things that I'm reading, all this understanding that I've come to take on. And and that evolved into the channel as it is today.
Yeah.
This was a lot of video game motion capture as well. This is stuff with Ubisoft that you're seeing right here. So if you guys are into video games and you've played a lot of Ubisoft games, you've probably killed me hundreds and thousands.
Yeah. See, you had, what was this? This other one.
Oh yeah. You know what I really love about this job is that it allows you to have experiences that you would under no circumstance ever in your life get with any other occupation, any other job, any other thing that you could do. Like, there's just stuff that you get to do that you'll you get so many interesting experiences. Like, you're seeing here, that first clip of we jumping out of an airplane, not a real airplane. It wasn't a real airplane, but it was a makeshift.
Yeah, right.
Kind of raised like 50 or 60 feet up above the ground, and
yeah,
rappelling out of it and pretend you're shooting a gun. Like, you'll never get to do this.
No,
unless you're in the military.
Unless you're in the military area or the movies.
yeah. But I mean, you'll never get to do it under safer conditions without people firing live ammo back at you, right? So stuff like that. It's I'm a Leo, so there's that part of me that enjoys the spotlight. As I say that, I'm performing on stage.
Right.
It just likes entertaining people. I like to, I've always had a knack for that. Or I don't know if I've had the knack for it, but I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Whether I'm good at it or not, that's to be debated. But
so how did you first get into that? How'd you first get into to acting and stunt? Because most people, you can't go to school, or maybe you can't. But like I want to be a stuntman when I grow up. That definitely seems like a real niche type of thing. Yeah. So how did you get to that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I was training for my career before I even knew it existed, really. As a kid, I was really into, my father exposed me to a lot of comic books, so I got inspired by heroes like Spider-Man and Daredevil and Captain America, all those guys. Got exposed to a lot of actors as well, and then when you're a kid and you're impressionable and you're seeing these guys, Van Damme was one of my first real inspirations. And there was something about the freedom of expression with your body that really, really captivated me. I was really eager to I want to be able to not have any fear doing anything physical. Like, I want to have complete command over my physical body. So that was the initial impetus that got me into, just general athletics and whatnot. So I started with gymnastics. And that was, I would call that my foundation, my bedrock. And then I went on to martial arts, like Taekwondo and karate. I did Muay Thai for a number of years. And so a bunch of the martial arts disciplines, all the while training my gymnastics. And so that's where I got started. And then, later on, high school, university, I found I did like the dramatic arts, particularly in high school. You don't really do much drama in university. So in high school, I loved being on stage, did a lot of stage performances, did acting classes in school. Took acting classes outside of school later on in university as well. And then by the time I was done and I got my degree in kinesiology and health sciences, which was a subject that was of interest to me, most relevant to what I was doing athletically. And so once that was done, I kind of always knew it was my backup plan. My degree was my backup plan. I kind of pacified my parents as they were a bit reluctant to encourage me to get into the stunt side of the industry. Right. They're like, maybe you should go into politics. Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that. And I'm, okay, fine. Maybe I kind of I said, maybe I'll go into athletic therapy or something, which I wouldn't have minded doing. It's just that I really liked the idea of performing in front of the camera. So I got my degree, and then once I was done university, I had already got a couple jobs here or there. doing like music videos and whatnot. Hooked up with an amazing set of guys. If any of them are watching, shout out to Team 2X. Great guys, stunt guys that did live performances, live shows, and we also did some work on TV and film as well. So I got some great experience with them. And then, of course, getting the odd job here or there on TV and movies and whatnot. Or I should say not movies yet, but TV, music videos. And then, once you start to get a couple of movie gigs here or there, then it was just off to the races. And that was it.
You said you first got some commercials. It sort of got you started. One of my first big commercial was a Lotto 649 commercial. I was one of the happy dancers in this long series of Lotto 649 happy dance commercials. And it was great because Lotto kept recutting the commercial, the footage that they had. So they have a raw database of footage, and then they just cut it to make new commercials. And so if they do that, they have to pay you again and credit you again as if you shot the new commercial. Nice.
So just by getting that one audition, I got enough credits to get me into the union in Toronto, which is ACTRA, the performance union. Yeah. So I got in like, boom, one shot, much to the jealousy and rage of all my peers at the time. Like, what the hell? Got in with one gig?
Yeah.
5 gigs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I lucked out of it that way. Yeah.
And so tell us, so at what point do you start getting into the advanced diets? Like, what was your diet before? What did you used to eat? And then what was sort of your path to finding out about the kind of lifestyle that we live?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, for most of, I think like most of us out there, a big chunk of our lives was, was not good dietarily speaking. My diet before I went fruitarian. Actually, no, before I went vegan was, I treated my body like a trash compactor at the back of an amusement park. It was a terrible diet, just awful diet. So everything goes, you know how it is. I mean, I didn't do, I shouldn't say that. I didn't do soda pop, I didn't do soda pop and chips. Like that stuff I never really did. But it was, and everything go, like salt, seasonings, everything. Meat, oils, combinations of just anything going with anything, awful combinations of food, eating whenever, tons of cereal, tons of milk, just garbage. All right. So no surprises there. When I say garbage, I mean it. And it was, so throughout high school, early university, I kept getting plagued with runny noses, mucus, right? Just tons of mucus all the time, all the freaking time. And it was annoying. It was really frustrating because I kept setting up the conditions, that caused that to happen perpetually. And if I didn't change anything, so I just kept getting those results. But I didn't know why at first, so I picked up a couple books. This was kind of like early university, even early high school. I would say, not early high school, late high school. I was starting to get into the way the world worked, the kind of the conspiratorial nature of how oligarchs and elitists, take the reins of global finance and all that kind of stuff. So I was getting into that pretty early. But I didn't really start connecting the dots like health-wise until later on in university. And so my first couple steps were to eliminate carcasses. I realized, I probably shouldn't put dead bodies into my system.
Right.
And once that light came on, then all of a sudden, oh man, I started feeling better. I started, less mucus, less congestion. I had asthma. I had respiratory problems as a kid. And they got better. They got better time as I grew up, but they never really relented. So, for example, if I were to go for a jog, for a 15-minute jog or so, I would feel tightness and pain in my chest, and there was nothing I just figured there was nothing I could do about it. That's just how I am. Wrong. I was wrong about that. It was not how I am. It's because I was abusing my body quite badly. So once I cut out the meat, I started feeling better. And then some more investigation. And then, oh man, okay, the grains, these are all processed foods, heavily processed food. Oh, flour products. Oh my God. Flour does this and this and this and this and this, and just this is a nightmare for my body. Oh my God, I've been combining flour with all this stuff that enzymatically clash with one another, and now this is causing all sorts of mucus and metabolic byproducts and waste and congestion. I'm like, oh my God. So I cut out a bunch of these things as well, and even more improvement, right?
Yeah.
So getting sick a little bit less often, skin starting to look a little bit better. And so I was vegan for about 7-8 years or so prior to doing what I'm doing now, which would be a predominantly almost exclusively fruit-based lifestyle. Got into Ehret and your work and Ehret's work pretty early on my, well, before I started doing the fruitarian lifestyle, and that was just a huge inspiration. If there's anybody in the audience listening that hasn't read Arnold Ehret's Mucusless diet healing system, then you need to do yourself a service and get on that, because it's gonna, the book is great. It'll change your life, give you a new understanding of the very simple principles that govern health and wellness in the human body. And so, yeah, so I did. I was vegan for about 7 years. I was a pretty clean vegan, but still using oils and cooked foods and all that kind of stuff. But I was pretty good. It's just what bothered me is that I wasn't seeing a complete regeneration. I wasn't seeing a complete healing of my body. I was still getting occasional mucus nose and a bit of wheezing every once in a while. And I'm just like, oh, but I've cut out all these bad things. What am I doing wrong? And then, of course, the lights came on, and I realized, oh, right. Humans are just like every other animal. We have a species-specific diet. We can't just go indiscriminately processing food into whatever kind of crazy human abstraction we want, put it into our bodies, and expect that it's doing us a service. We just can't do this. And this is not what life intended. Life intended, nature, God, call it whatever you want, the divine intelligence of the universe, whatever you want. But that force, that creative force that was responsible for designing our physical reality, it was very intelligent, and it was very deliberate in the way that it constructed the design of organisms. And so all organisms seem to be tied through their senses to a particular modality of eating. And humans are no different. And so this was just such a huge revelation, and it made so much sense. It made so much sense. I found that as I was studying, I felt, oh my God, how could I have been so duped? Like it was insulting, borderline insulting.
Yeah.
That I didn't clue into this earlier. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yeah.
You feel so guilty. It's like, why was I eating up my body for all of these years? How many times did I have to feel the effects of my behaviors before I clued in? Like
exactly
800, 8,000 times. It's crazy. Like how do we not learn? And it's because I feel it really is that culture is just what it's done is it's normalized disease. It tries to convince you that there is nothing you can do in your life to avoid the concomitant life afflictions of colds, flu, cancers later on in life when you're old, whatever that means, whatever that arbitrary distinction means. you just can't avoid. This is just how life works, right? Nothing you can do, and bull crap. It's absolute bull crap. And yeah. Anyhow, I don't want to drag on. I know we only have so much time here. But, So I was vegan for a while, and then fruitarian, and then of course the health benefits started to accrue. Everything started changing, and it was just overwhelming. And I would never go back to the old me for anything. It's a very, very, very sustainable way to live, clean way to live, healthy way to live, perfect immunity. It's just great. I'm not saying that you're going to move mountains as a fruitarian. You're not going to telekinetically levitate trucks or whatnot. Okay, I'm not going there, but I'm saying it's a very good practice if you want a very, very healthy life. Very, very clean life. So
yeah. Interesting. So how did you deal with sort of as an athlete, you're and doing what you do? I would imagine and assume you're around a lot of the protein religion, the whole everything, just protein. How did you kind of deal with that as you were just transitioning away from that type of mentality? Was that something that did people give you a hard time about that, or did you just and you didn't care, or how did you kind of deal with that?
You know what? For me personally, that's not it's not like super exciting. I just didn't care.
Right.
I really just didn't care. Like, I mean, people are gonna do whatever, and I was already coming into my own in my research and my understanding, and kind of like I was saying before. Okay, I think the reason that this didn't have much of an effect on me is because the principles that I was absorbing. Well, it was just that, absorbing principles. Yeah. Unchanging, immutable principles that work all the time, that never change. You can put your faith into them. You can put absolute confidence in them to produce a result all the time, right? That's just how natural principles are. It's kind of like, water's always going to become ice at a certain temperature, right? At that key temperature, and it will never not do that, right? So this is a principle that once you understand, you learn, you can have faith in it and apply it to enhance the quality of your life. So there are these principles that apply to how health and wellness work in an organic body. So coming online to that, I'm going to go to work and the whole place is filled with. You got to see a set, like
the craft services
out on set for refreshments. Oh my God, it's so funny. Like we'll be out in the blazing hot. Just this year, we'll be out in the blazing hot and in big thick costumes, and people are like Gatorade and Freezies. It's almost as if their intention is to dehydrate the crap out of you and make everybody sick. Right? Ice cream. Oh my God, ice cream. So, I'm seeing all this around me, and I guess I put in enough time correlating those things with how I used to feel, and it was never worth. There was no stimulation in the mouth with those kind of obvious landmines that was worth how I would feel, or what I knew it would do to my body. And so it was not very difficult. It was not very difficult. It's like walking on the street and seeing a bunch of people, I don't know, eat wood. Like just wood. I don't know. Would you do it? No, you wouldn't. It's like, I think I should eat wood. You're not going to do it just because some other kids are doing it. So that type of thing. That was water off a duck's back.
Right. So what is your kind of your daily routine in terms of like working out or stretching, or what kind of things do you do?
I'm doing something every day, but I don't work out. I don't work out in the classic sense. Like I don't usually dedicate 1 hour to just completely destroy my body and then wait, 2 days
Right.
and then just destroy my body again.
Yeah.
I don't usually do that. I treat my exercise kind of like play and practice. For people in the audience who are listening, Pavel Tsatsouline has great material. He's a Russian guy who introduced the kettlebell into the West, or I guess is primarily responsible for that. I could be wrong, but anyhow, Pavel Tsatsouline has some very, very great principles that pertain to fitness and health and strength and all that. And so he was very influential in my life, or in my fitness scheduling. So yeah, so I don't do too many of those kind of exhaust yourself exercises, but I do a little bit every day. So in the morning, to answer your question, I would probably in the morning I would take care of some of that. The majority of it would be in the morning at some point, and then for the rest of the day, I would still like play around a little bit. So I've got my channel. I do video editing. I'm the kind of guy that I'll be video editing and then all of a sudden just jump up and then sprint down my hall a couple times, do some, and then come back and then study or edit again. Maybe 5-10 minutes later, then I'll just do some handstands and like 2 seconds and then back at the computer. That kind of thing. And that way you're always moving. Your nervous system is always getting this stimulation, and it helps to give you it helps to familiarize your body with movement. No different, I would say, than walking is not a particularly difficult thing to do, but you do it so often that it becomes, you don't even have to think about it. Like all the muscular coordination, it's just right there. Like it's dialed in, and strength and mobility and flexibility, all of these things, it's pretty much like that. It's no big secret. The more you practice them, the better they get, the stronger they get, the faster they get, all of these. And it really comes down to that practice principle rather than, how badly can you exhaust your body. Like, it works. That approach works too. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's just that I found that this is more, it's more sustainable and it's more applicable to me in my life, where I'd rather not do sessions on end. When I do those like hour or 2 hour long sessions, it's usually if I'm going to a gymnastics facility where I want to practice a lot of acrobatics and whatnot. Okay, there I'll get in that full session where I won't do it again for another couple days or more. But that's that's when I'm doing my skill based training.
Now is this
when I'm just I just put this up. I was testing some video editing program. But yeah, so like this for example this is just play. This is just playing around, having fun, right? I'm not out there to exhaust myself. I'm not doing anything crazy. Out there for 10 minutes, then back at the house, get some work done, do something else. So yeah, it's more that I just incorporate movement and play and strength movements into my routine without it being like the typical workout.
Right.
That you usually are familiar with. Yeah.
It's interesting. We have a question from Kai. Tell us about your fruit meals in a typical day. So I guess just what's your typical at this point, in your transition, what's your diet looking like throughout the day?
Gotcha. Okay. So I'll just give you an example. Today, woke up. I didn't really have much until about 10:30ish, and it was a bunch of oranges. So oranges and clementines. So oranges and clementines, and that was it until about 5-ish, and then I had grapes, and I had something else. A cantaloupe and grapes. So today was oranges in the morning, cantaloupes and grapes in the evening.
Yeah.
And that's it. That'll be it. It's a very simple approach to eating. Very, very simple. Very unexciting. Now, don't get confused when I say unexciting. it's not that I'm deprived of excitement. It's just that that's what feels really good, and that's what feels natural. My diet plan doesn't always look like that. It doesn't always work out to 2 meals in the day, as I've described to you. Sometimes it can be one. Sometimes it can be one bigger meal, kind of in the early afternoon. So maybe around 2 o'clock, I would start with maybe a cantaloupe, and then a couple mangoes. If I felt like I wanted something really, really dense, you could do bananas and dates. I've always loved that combination, bananas and dates. It's not the greatest if you want to cleanse. If you're looking
Right.
at eliminating stuff, then I don't know that you stay away from that. But yeah, if you're not in the middle of a whatnot, it's a great way to especially blast through cravings. So if you're transitioning to a mucus-free diet, then bananas and dates can help with those old cravings. It kind of takes the place of that calorie-rich stuff that we're accustomed to, and we find the replacement that's a bit more, well, maybe it's mucus lean. I might even want to say mucus lean, where it doesn't generate as much mucus. If you're looking at mucus-free, obviously you want the high water content foods. I distract myself. So my eating plan, it can be 2 meals a day. It can be 1 meal a day. And it might even, if I'm very physically active, it might be more than that. So I described cantaloupe, mangoes, and maybe some pears. Okay? That could be a 1 meal a day plan for me that I eat at 2 o'clock when I'm doing 1 meal a day, when it feels right to do that. Another day, it could be, I could start the day off with grapes, and end the day with some other fruit, maybe another melon or like another cantaloupe, and then a pineapple. I'll eat a pineapple. That could be a day. But if I were to encapsulate how I eat in a general kind of way, it's usually a mono meal or one fruit at a time, and either 2 meals of that mono fruit style or 1. Every once in a while, not super often. I find I just don't make this choice often. I always say on my channel, of the human foods, I would consider fruits, leafy green vegetables, and nuts and seeds. These are the only real food groups that you can eat without having to process in any way, right? That your senses actually gravitate to, that your senses are keen on eating, and that they can relish without any form of human trickery or contrivances of any sort, right? So those are all on the menu, but of course I just tend to stick to the fruit side of that menu. If I have a salad, it'll be a very simple salad, mostly lettuce, a big serving of lettuce with maybe tomatoes and cucumbers and pears or apples or something, lime juice. That could be a salad. If I feel like having avocado, I will. I don't usually make that choice though. So a good 90% of the time, no, more than that, like 95% of the time, I'm making those fruit-based choices that I described earlier. And then if I get curious or just want to try something new, sure, I don't have any problem with a big salad or maybe like a nori wrap. If it's raw and whatnot, I can experiment. I'll have fun just like anybody else, but I'll never stray too far from the principles, right? Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So how long did it take you to get to the regimen you're in now, and do you ever find yourself having just like kind of crazy cravings, or did you go through a period where you went through any like significant eliminations or anything like that as you were kind of clearing out some of the old mess?
That old riffraff. I noticed a lot of that. It was my first year that I noticed the biggest changes with that. I was shocked when I first started doing the fruitarian lifestyle. I was shocked at how fast I lost weight. Like it was almost scary. It just flew off me. This is not typical. It can be typical. I just don't know. Everybody's constituted so differently that what you can be assured of is that the detox will happen so long as you're doing the right thing. But for me, it was like my body was like, the floodgates just opened, and I lost all sorts of weight pretty quickly. And because I never really carried around much fat at all. Like I looked very, very similar as I do now. Back then, just bigger and thicker, bigger, thicker muscles. I was, a bit of a bruiser. Right? And so there was not this visible fat on me. So when all this weight started flying off, I had already done a lot of reading and understanding, and then I knew that it was just waste, just water and waste and salt and this and that stored all in the muscles. And oh, hey Sherry, what's going on? Sherry's great. So I noticed all of this happening, and then subsequently after that, the next several months rolled on, and a little bit more weight came trickling off. The congestion slowly started subsiding. I noticed that those channels were just getting clean and free, and I was breathing well and just starting to feel really, really good. Every once in a while, I'd have some dips in my energy, but not enough to make me bedridden. Like it wasn't anything like that. I could still maintain my activity routine so long as I just I wasn't going crazy with it. But yeah, there were definitely times where you're less energetic, and you have to expect that. You have to expect that if you're going through a transition. So yeah, it was more my first year where I noticed those big shifts.
What year was that about? What year was that?
Oh, my first year was the most drastic changes, I would say.
No, I mean which year?
2016? 2016? Something like that. Yeah, I think it was 2016. Maybe it was 2015. And anyway, around there. Yes, around there. So, yes. And of course, the next year after the second year, third year, more of that maintenance phase. But I would notice little changes here and there. The last interview that I was on, I had mentioned where it was on Jillian Barry's YouTube channel. I mentioned that the first time I really noticed that my cardiovascular system was getting really clean was took a big sprint and noticed that I didn't have any of that. I wasn't tired. I was amped up, ready to go after a long sprint, and it was shocking. I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. So little things like that, I would start to glean about this new lifestyle and these changes it was making in my body. But yeah, no, there was definitely that renovation period, and who knows how long it lasts. This is a lifestyle that we're practicing here. It's not a quick fix. It's not a slim down, plan. I mean, that'll happen.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the be all and end all of this. Like what we're looking at with this lifestyle, guys, whether you do it like I've structured it or not, the mucus-free lifestyle, what you're looking at is it's a lifestyle that's geared towards bringing out the best in you, right? And it's going to, so in so doing, it'll have many expressions depending on the person. But what you can be assured of is it will bring out the best in you. And of course, I highly advocate it. I've noticed it with myself. And it'll happen for everybody. But yeah, of course, you got to expect those periods of unpredictability, where you don't exactly know how the plan is gonna affect you, but know that whatever that effect is, it's because Allah is working exactly as it's supposed to.
Yeah. So here's a question, another from Kai. So after your first year on fruit, how long did it take for you to build muscle weight from fruit? And that's the general question that everybody was like, how do you
Yeah.
build muscle on fruit, and then it's like there's
Right.
you see these other animals that do it, but but it's like that doesn't even process for them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so, so in your experience, what was that process like? 'Cause did it sound like maybe you initially went down pretty, like as you're really getting rid of a lot of the stuff, you get down pretty thin, and then it naturally starts kind of coming back. But how was your experience with that?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so first thing to remember here is that I never stopped exercising. Like I never stopped moving.
Mm.
So all throughout that transition, I was always, because I had to. I still had my career, right? I couldn't just stop moving, right? So I was always practicing. I was still doing my acro. I was still doing all of it. Okay, and this is something that I've been doing since I was a kid. So athletics was a familiar body plan for me. So I just never stopped. Okay, so that's one thing to consider. How do you build muscle while you're on a fruitarian lifestyle? Okay, I had a comment recently on my channel that brought up the same thing. It's like, well, what about the protein? I'm amazed at how often that comment is made.
Yeah, it's such a weird theory that they just went so crazy with it, and people just bought it. Like, it's
based on very, very shady
really messed up,
with not even humans,
right,
yeah,
and dogs,
based on rats, based on rat studies, and then just like some exaggeration. Anyway,
yeah.
So okay, how do you build muscle? Right? How do you build muscle? The first help me is I didn't have any stress associated with the way I was eating. So a lot of people, you'd be surprised, but it's gonna set you back when you're constantly worrying about being undernourished or malnourished or not getting enough protein or whatnot. This mental thing that people carry around with them, that matters. And I did not have that because I understood very well that you're not looking dense proteins in your diet, right? That the proteins that are in the fruits and the nuts and seeds, if you eat those, and the leafy greens, it's all there. The whole shebang is there, likely even more than you need. So I didn't have any stress associated with the way I was eating. So that counted.
Yeah.
If I was hungry, you just eat more. That's it. Now, how do you build muscle back? There's no everybody knows the answer to this. You just keep moving. Exercise.
Yeah, right. Keep moving.
Yeah. There's no secret here. There's nothing I can divulge or reveal to you that you don't already know, right? The only difference is that the way that I eat right now, it would be much, much more difficult for me to put on the insane amount of mass that, let's say, a bodybuilder or someone eating an everything goes.
Yeah, the unnatural mass.
Yeah. It's so that I think that's where people get confused. Is like they see the fitness culture out there, and every example of the best in the fitness culture, they're building their bodies on unnatural food for the human body. Okay, I'm not even talking about like steroids and creatine powder. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about less than ideal unnatural foods,
right,
that stimulate the body into growth, that ramp up metabolism, which is not necessarily something you want. You don't really want a fast metabolism, but you will get a faster metabolism when you're just constantly eating all these super stimulating foods. And so that's I kind of what I want to say, guys, is that I treated my fitness and exercise routine no differently. If you want to go to the gym and do, your 5 sets of 6 bench press, and then, or your 5 sets of whatever, or your 3 sets of squats or dumbbell, yeah, do that. And the difference is that when you eat a mucusless diet, when you eat a raw food diet, you eat a fruitarian diet, nature will take your body and put it to where it is most comfortable, where it's most natural to be. And then whatever muscular gains you make, right? It's never going to exceed that general plan. Like, it's always going to be maintained at a healthy place where your body naturally wants to be. That's the secret, right? That's the key. So I fear that when people ask, oh, how do I build all my muscle back? Okay, so we're asking, how do I build all my muscle back after I've lost it all well, you don't lose it all, but I mean, after I've slimmed down from a cleansing program, from a transition program to a mucusless free diet. And how I would answer that is like, why on earth would I do that? The diet, the intention of the diet was to cleanse your body. And the cleansing of your body, that is the loss of all of the waste products that are stored all over your system, including your muscles. Your body does this very intelligently. It's storing all of the dietary sins. It's storing all of those everywhere, and of course in your muscle tissue. So if you're losing weight on a raw food diet or a transition, that's probably a good thing. That's probably what you want, if what you say you want is health, right? Now, to want to put all of it back on the other side is oddly counterproductive, right? You in order to do that, you would need, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
like what is this? How does this is what? Where did this even come from? That people were like, well, this looks good. I feel great. You don't see, like, the most dangerous fighters on the planet don't look like this. They're not. Yeah, like, what is this? Like, yeah. But I know, and we got a number of ex bodybuilders that practice the mucusless diet that feel a lot better. They were able to regain their ability to digest food, because that often goes away when you're kind of going down this path. A lot of the bodybuilders and the folks is high protein, this keto thing. They've made that up, and but yeah, this is literally just waste. They put waste. Waste.
It's just waste.
Yeah.
They're building skeletal muscle on just metabolic byproducts and metabolic filth. Yeah. And so now I might be dissuading a lot of people out there, but just so you know, you will be fantastically strong. You'll be fit. You'll be clean. You'll be healthy. Your body will regulate. I mean, you're not going to be starved or deprived of strength gains and whatnot. You will and can get stronger depending on how you exercise. So if you're working out, as I was saying before, kind of like I do, kind of just playing with it day to day. I work out mostly for strength gains, right? Just for strength. I'm not trying to put on mass. Yeah, and so if that's where you're going, then lifting heavy weight or very high resistance and doing it as often as possible without getting tired. That would be, in terms of building strength and even a little bit of size, that would be that formula. If you wanted to put on size, then what you would do is you do the same thing, but you would just really ramp up the amount of sets that you would do. So let's say I wanted to get stronger with a bench press, okay? As a fruitarian, right? What you would do is you would ramp down the amount of reps that you would do. So you only do 2 to 3 repetitions. Yeah. Of a pretty heavy weight. 75% of your max. And you would do that for like 10, 15 sets or so. And that is a really, really good formula for putting on as much size as your body will allow with a clean diet. Okay? But that's for bulking. It's tough bulk, but it's much easier to develop strength. Strength, who knows where the be all and end all of strength is. You can get ridiculously strong as long as you keep doing strength training and ramping up the resistance. So strength that's anybody can do that and get stronger and stronger and stronger. But in terms of bulking up size-wise, see, now we're getting into the place where diet comes in, and the more encumbering, the more pus-forming foods that you eat in conjunction with exercise. Okay, now you're going to start just filling up like a balloon again.
Right.
And you don't want that.
Yeah. And that's, something that we generally just tell people to not even, because we'll get those questions all the time, and we're just like, we don't even think like that. That's not, we just want our bodies to do whatever it's supposed to do and just be, and everybody is sort of on their own little journey, and everybody's physiology and body's a little different. And I noticed a lot of what you did when you were young, even once you change your diet, you don't lose that, like stuff that you learned back when you were like your gymnastics, all that. You didn't lose any of that, but people think that you're going to lose stuff when you're like, oh, I can't do that anymore. And it's like, and even with me, and I don't, because I just like to feel good. So I don't, if I had to go into a weight room and do what I used to do, I can, and somehow I'm still bigger than a lot of people in there, which is funny. But it's like, it's because of form. When you learn you have decent form, then you can lift. But I just not it, because I lived that life in high school where I bet you're just in pain all 24 hours a day. You're just sore. You work, we work like every other day, 3-4 times, like just hard working out, that weightlifting for 3-4 times a week. And doesn't make, and then once you get into diet, you're like, this makes absolutely no sense. There's nothing, because it's not making me stronger. It's not helping me better defend myself if something happens. It's literally just like this sort of culturally based kind of, this looks a certain way. This goes in. It's like, this doesn't, this doesn't work. Like Brother Ehret said one time, he's like, man, I'll be a nub walking around if that's the healthiest form, for me. It's like.
And, I think it's important to mention. So we've been talking a bit about how, it's hard to have your cake and eat it too. Like, I want to keep all my stuff, but I want to get clean and healthy. I've had that question. And it's just like,
it's like
the computer. I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
It's like,
you can't.
But one thing I do want to say is that the advantages, though, you can't. Yeah, you can't. It's like you got to pick. Do you want health, or do you want to keep your body in the same proportions it is right now? You cannot have both, right? So it's like, man up, decide, right? Or won't decide, whatever. So, but one thing I did want to say is that the advantages. So what are the advantages aside from all that you can expect? Your recovery will be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you're not polluting your body with all sorts of riffraff, you will recover from bouts of exercise like you didn't think was possible, right? There have been days where I've just been literally shocked at what I did the day before and how I felt the next morning, and I'd just be like, "Oh, I feel like I want to go fight crime right now. This is insane." Like, so your recovery will be fantastic. Your sleep, the quality of your sleep will be dramatically enhanced. Okay, especially if you don't eat too close to bedtime. So you're eating a mucus-free diet, and you cut your eating window, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock or so. Oh my God, you'll get such good sleep, and you won't need. Eventually, you find that you need less of it. I'm not saying don't sleep, but the quality of your sleep really, really goes up, especially when the channels of elimination, these are all clear. Oh my God, your sleep is wonderful. Your cardiovascular efficiency, kind of like I was describing earlier. You find there's a lot of examples of fruitarians that do marathon running, Michael Arnstein, a whole bunch of them. And that cardiovascular efficiency, that's when I started noticing that, it was such a joy. It was such a treat. I do a lot of spiritual like energy work. If you guys are into meditation or any kind of metaphysical pursuit, why you wouldn't want to live that mucus-free lifestyle is anyone's guess. Like, you definitely want like clean respiratory channels, and that's going to translate into everything, your endurance, your muscular endurance, just the whole system is totally overhauled when you get all of this junk out of you. And your injuries, it's much less likely that you'll get injured. You can sustain a lot more abuse, and your joints and whatnot will still be lax and loose and supple. Your flexibility is good. And it will be much more easily sustained, even without doing hard flexibility all the time. Just everything works in this wonderful way. And you're more hydrated. The stuff you're eating is highly saturated with water, high water content fruits and vegetables. So when you're better hydrated and you're not eating things that dehydrate you, well, your muscles are going to be more hydrated. So you'll have better quality workouts, and it's just, on and on and on it goes. So those are some of the advantages that you can really expect when you are an athlete and you want to keep doing athletic endeavors, whatever it is, whatever athletic endeavor is of your choice, and you clean up the diet so that you're not polluting it with riff crap, right? And so there's all these wonderful things that happen.
Yeah. And I think we have a delay, and I know that for the folks watching, if it's a little blurry, I've got a backup recording, so I'm gonna pop that up there. But yes, okay. And I don't know. It might, if you leave and like come back in, that could reset it, or we could just deal with the with the delay.
Okay. If I leave and come back, you mean if I switch to another window or something?
Well, no, like if you leave the platform and come right back in I see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, some that because this has happened before with Brother Air, and it would kind of reset everything, and there wouldn't be like this delay.
Okay. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, go ahead and do that, and
Okay, so I'll leave studio and then
leave studio and then just come right back in. Yeah.
Okay, all right. See you guys in a bit.
All right, so we're taking a quick little break. As I know, like I said, I apologize for if this is blurry on the live. I am gonna we always re-upload the audio. I'm gonna re-upload the video probably as well. And this is some internet issues, and they make all these things, all this, we're so futuristic, but we can't just get the simple stuff right. Let's just let's focus on the things, the internet speed, all that kind of stuff. Let's just do that. So, all right. So Eli's back. Let's see if it's still, I don't know if there's a delay yet. We'll find out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that sounds like it's better. So tell me a little bit about your fasting practices, and when did you start incorporating fasting? Was that there sort of from the beginning in that first big year? And what kind of fasting do you do? And I've seen some videos on your channel about that. Just share a little bit about your fasting experiences.
Okay, cool. Luckily for me, I got onto the fasting thing way before I was fruitarian. So that I started doing, when about 8 years prior to transitioning into the fruitarian lifestyle. So I think that really helped me when I did go more fruit-based, because I more than likely got a good deal of elimination going on throughout these fasts. So I started with weekly 36-hour fasts. So on the weekend, my routine is on the week. On Friday would be my last meal at dinner time, and then I would pick it up again on Sunday morning. So I did that every week for years and years. Well, I mean, I still do, but it's just then I had to think about it because it wasn't just like a natural thing. It was like it was always on my mind. Now I'll go a day without eating, and it's just. It's nothing. It's just a blink of an eye. I'll go a day and a half. It just doesn't mean anything, right? So it's become a lot more ingrained into my routine. So I started doing that many years ago, and then I every once in a while do a little bit of a cleanse, a different type of cleanse. So I think that one of the first cleanses I did was an apple fast or an apple cleanse.
Yeah.
Like 3-day apple cleanse, and that was they were tough. Like that was tough. Now in retrospect, looking back, but yeah. So in those earlier years, I pretty much only kept it to those 36-hour fasts, which is still good. It's tolerable. Anybody can do it, but it doesn't access the deeper levels of cleansing. There were a couple times when I did 3-day fasts here or there. I never did week-long fasts when I was in that vegan phase of my life where I was fasting every weekend. But it gave me a good head start to get into the cleaner lifestyle that I was going to embark on later on. So I really feel like I did myself a service in preparing myself in that way. But in terms of any kind of major elimination or major changes, no, I didn't notice anything major. Primarily because on the other end of the fasts, I would just eat the same thing that I was always eating. So I was never isolating a particular thing and say, okay, on the other side of the fast, I'm going to scale this down a little bit. And then the next time it's like, okay, I'm going to pick this thing and then replace it with something. Like I wasn't doing that. I was just doing the fast. And so it was kind of this like maintenance thing going on. And, sprinkled in with a couple of little cleanses there, like the apple cleanse that I mentioned, and a 3-day fast here or there.
Right.
So getting some good at working. But later on, once I went fruitarian, that's when I started doing kind of the more intense fasts. Excuse me. And I've week-long water fasts. The longest I've done is a 32-day water fast. I've done a bunch of dry fasts as well. 7 days. I believe I did a 10-day one as well. And those are, so how did they go? What do you experience? What do you expect? All that stuff. With water fasting, you can definitely expect in the first couple days, I would usually feel very good. I think the very first time I did a water fast that was longer than 3 days, that was the first time I noticed the typical detox symptoms. Nothing bad, nothing crazy, nothing horrible. I noticed there were one day, I had a little bit of a red marks or like a I don't even want to say rash, but like red bumps and whatnot appear. It's just like, oh God, what the hell is that? But then it goes away. I think it was on the third day, if I'm not mistaken, I started feeling a bit of nausea. No vomiting, but just a bit of nausea, right? As the fast just kind of works everything out in there. But so that was the first time I tried a longer, like a 5-day water fast. After that fast, I was still eating cleanly on the other side, so I wasn't breaking my fast with pancakes and whatnot, which I had been known to do in my vegan days. Don't do that.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. You do not want to. I made damn good pancakes, but my goodness, you do not want to break a fast with pancakes, guys. No. So after that first initial fast, then the subsequent fasts, I stopped noticing those really uncomfortable detox symptoms. But what you can always expect, regardless of what stage you are in your fasting experience, the first couple, let's say you do have a little bit of experience already. I know there's a lot of listeners here that are well on their way in this lifestyle. The first couple days, you'll probably feel very good. Right? You probably feel very good. And then once the glycogen stores kind of get depleted on the water fast, then you'll notice the dip in your energy. So your energy will go down. You'll be mentally alert. You'll want to read. Like the lights will come on upstairs. This is why you hear the yogis and whatnot always fasting and meditation always go hand in hand. Why? Because all the energy that you're conserving from not having to digest food, your brain, your mind gets a lot of this energy that is now no longer squandered with digestion. And so it enhances the quality of your meditative experience. So whether it's reading, whether it's work or project, you're going to be really alert upstairs, but your body
and that's the principle
will want to rest.
Of vitality equals power minus obstruction. You know, as Arnold Ehret says, you remove the obstruction, and it's a miracle. We heal, and clarity of thought, and all kinds of creative things can come out of that. And those first 2 days, that's usually what we say too, is like those after those first 2 days of a fast, then you're good if you keep going. But
you're good.
You know. I tend to recommend following Ehret's recommendation until you really get good at those short fasts. Because if you can master the shorter fasts or whatever level, whether it's water, dry, whatever you're into, it's just getting you closer to getting you closer to the higher levels, getting cleaner, being able to sustain things. Again, each person's body, everybody's coming from a different place. Body's different, so these things take different levels of time. But when you're putting in that work, and because that's what people don't, a lot of people don't like that, and that's what they don't like about the transition concept is. It's not a quick fix. It's not an overnight sensation. It's like, no, you got to just work with the principles over time, and you transform your physiology.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. One thing I can say for sure is that when you combine the cleaning lifestyle, your body becomes just madly efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very efficient, and it's able to absorb and extract nutrition from everything. And you're able to be very well sustained, even on a fast. So, I mean, I can share my screen here. I did to Iceland, and decided to take a trip around Iceland, and while I was fasting. And so maybe I can share my screen here. Let's see. Share screen. I've never really done this before. Share screen. Yeah. Oh, window.
There might be like
entire screen.
Might be like an ad at there's like a square, and then you have to hit it again in the middle.
Oh, really?
Where it might say.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, ad or something like that. Yeah. Then I click it over here and add to the screen.
Oh, I see. Okay. Can you see my screen right now?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, so just as an example, so I was doing a trip to Iceland, and the whole time I was fasting. So it was about a week
and if
in
you
Iceland.
hit that little hide button there in the middle, then that'll hide that. Yeah, there you go.
Does that work? Can
Yeah.
you see everything now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, as much as a good fast will probably make you want to relax and lie down, you still do function well, or you can function quite well once you have a little bit of experience in fasting, and once your body gets cleaned out. It's like Professor Spira was just saying. It's just the channels become so clear, and the energy flows well throughout the system. And so even without food, you're getting this abundance of energy that you can still function well with. And so I was able to go on this trip and just explore and climb mountains and run around and jump on rocks and whatnot, all while fasting with just water.
Mm.
And and so it really is amazing. I found what the body's capable of when it's treated well, when the diet is simple, and when you subject yourself to these little cleansing bouts, whether it's cleansing, whether it's a water fast or dry fast once you get a little experience. So Anyway, I'll stop sharing this now. And okay. Oh, how do I get back? Here we go. Yeah, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay, good. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that's
so-
and that's almost those fasting trips end up really kind of becoming like a rites of passage for folks. That's really because that's Arnold Ehret, where he talked about it. What he did is like 2 years where he was just out and doing riding his bike, eating nothing but fruit, and then riding his bike all around northern Africa, and then meeting with all those people there, and he was observing and seeing that there were people that were not like the Europeans that ate a lot of fruits and vegetables, or were relatively vegetarian or whatever, but like kind of didn't eat a starchitarian vegetarian, and we know about it. They ate just like fruits, vegetables, and maybe some grains or something. And there was one group of people that smoked, and he noticed that they lived really long. Now, I'm 100% against smoking. This is not the advocate. This shows you where do we put the priority? Because they always put, smoking's the worst thing. Well, it's certainly not good, but pus is the worst thing. Pus and mucus is what's going to age and take you out early. And he did that 2 year. Then his 49-day fast, which was a water fast. That was he basically did like a Ripley's Believe It or Not, where he was encased in a big clear box in the middle of Switzerland, and people could come 24 hours a day and just kind of gawk at him. And he was in there. He did that for 49 days. So that was the world record in fasting for a long time, because that was monitored by Swiss officials, and the public saw it. And of course, he wanted to go longer. I think he wanted to go 53 days, but it was just so terrible conditions, because that's not how you want to fast. You don't want to be in a clear box with no sun, no fresh air. So that, but that's it's definitely this like a rites of passage.
Of course. I think one thing I want to say is, if you guys do fasting, and I want to make sure that I'm answering the question, just the general question, how does fasting work for me in my experience? So, just let me know something in particular you wanted to know. But one thing I would just urge you to do, or I guess not do, is if you are about to go a longer fast, a fast of more than 3 to 5 days or so, you want to go a week fasting, that's great. But I wouldn't make a big spectacle about it. Like, it's not a fast is between, you and God. A good fast is between you and your internal energy, your spirit, right? It's a very personal thing, and especially with the world as it's constructed. Unless you're going to a fasting retreat where there are very like-minded individuals there who understand actually what's happening and what you're going through, that's a bit of a different scenario. But if you're just, your day-to-day and you want to do a fast, I would suggest not to advertise that you're doing the fast, and just keep it a very personal journey, right? Just keep it all inside.
Yep.
And because tell you, the world will not understand. They will not understand. Right now, they will not understand what you're doing. They will see you get thinner, very, very thin and different, because it will happen. It happens to me. It'll happen to everybody. And all they will see is someone who is dying, someone who is sick, someone who has some food eating disorder,
right,
or something.
Right.
They will not understand. And when you start getting that negative energy, this critical energy, this worrisome, doubting energy from all of your family and your friends, if you don't have a strong constitution, if you don't have a thick skin, you will start to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And that is the last thing that you need when you are fasting. When you're fasting, you're making a contract with your inner wisdom, inner spiritual wisdom, whereby you're saying, okay, I'm affording you reign to take control of my body and use your infinite wisdom to clean it out and do whatever you need to do in order to get that job done, because I'm interested in my higher development, right? This is the pact that you're making with that internal fire inside of you. So yeah, and you'll find that if you do that, if you keep it just this very personal, private endeavor, it's so rewarding. You will make, like, your mind will just come alive. It's hard to describe all of the things that happen mentally, when you're on a longer fast like that. It's just your thinking you become very creative. You start. A lot of people will make new business plans and just start imagining all these wonderful things. You'll have incredible dreams. Like, so you take this journey on your own, unless you're going to like a fasting clinic where there are people who just understand and are not going to be showering you with that deluge of negative energy.
Right. Or if if you come to a Mucus-Free meetup on a Wednesday, we know we got your back. We'll pat you on the back, know, if you need that. Or if you want to share, of course, we know what's up. But on the day to day. But no, I agree. That was something that I've generally always done, where I was very, if I'm doing a fast, like I usually don't tell anybody. And and I might say something when I'm done with it. I'll be like, oh yeah, I just did. Yes. Oh yeah, I just did whatever, 10 days or something. And people, what? Well, yeah. But I learned that, in the early days of practicing, where where now in the real early days, I kind of got a kick out of just blowing people's minds, and so I would open myself up to that, and so those were those early days. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Let me just publish some stuff and then just let people find it, and I won't talk about it anymore like that. And but that's good advice, because it really is. It's just a personal thing. It's not something where people come out and they do a lot of the, track their fast on YouTube and that kind of stuff. And I'm not, and there's friends of mine that done that. So I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just saying, like, to me, and what I've always done is just like, this kind of personal thing. It really is the same with my meals and eating. Is one, it's kind of like you described. A lot of my meals are not exciting. And so because a lot of people, to get popular around here, it seems like you gotta have some beautiful photos of just the most gorgeous fruit plates. That's it. It's just like, oh wow, and mine is just like, here's an apple. It's like, this is what I ate. This was my meal, and so it's not too exciting, as you said earlier, but yeah, no, that. And then what's deep, because some people, what they do is they try to use doing like fasting videos, like that's some kind of keeping them accountable or something. Like it's like, oh, I put this out here, so I gotta. That is not how you're supposed to fast. That pressure and all that outside energy, that is not it. It's definitely a very personal journey.
Yeah, very, very well put. It's you don't want that extra mental tax or burden of responsibility. Like you when you're fasting, you choose a time where nothing is going to be happening in your life as much as possible. Yeah. Choose a time where it's just you can knock out this time that's just me time. That is the best time to do this cleansing, because again, energy expenditure is energy expenditure. If you've got a lot of stuff going on, work-wise and stress-wise, this will take energy, precious energy that could be used to do some very vital detoxing, right? So keep it very simple. You don't have to make it. If you're doing like worrying about the fasting tracking and all that, what are you gonna forget? Now they're write down Wednesday. There you go, fasting tracking. Wednesday at 5 o'clock. All right, that's all the tracking you need. When you break your fast, you can just write down Wednesday.
Yeah. And I'm
it doesn't have to be more complicated.
No. And I'm the type of person that I generally don't really know how long, because I don't track at all. Like, because I'm kind of doing mine a day at a time, and I don't be like, oh, that I'll be like, I don't know, it felt like 5 or 6 days, and it'd be like, oh no, it's 15 days. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Just
great.
Not a big deal to me, but
Yes.
but yeah, no, that's sage advice. Then definitely, really focus on, because that's just in general something that people don't are scared of, is that this lifestyle brings, and when you really you got to deal with yourself. You're going inside, looking in the mirror, being honest with yourself, and it's not, you can't like pawn that off on a group, which is what a lot of people want to do, is sort of like, oh, let me get this energy. I'm just like, nah, you got to deal with yourself for a while. And then you get yourself together. Now you can come out and we can, really, benefit from the group. But, definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, there are lots of different ways to cleanse and fast. We were talking about more water fasting. If you did want to try dry fasting, that's something that's available. But I would always suggest that you should really have some good experience with water fasting first, and definitely a clean diet. Right? You don't really want to be jumping into a dry fast, after downing like 7 Big Macs or something like that, or if that's
definitely not.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
You want to be well clear of the standard processed food diet before you even think of dry fasting, if you're asking me, because that stuff, when it's plugged up in your body, and now you're going to go on a dry fast, and it can be painful. It will be painful.
Yeah.
Right? But if you clean out first, then dry fasting can be shockingly comfortable, shockingly. So there's that too. But we can go into all the types of cleanses. But I'm not sure. Maybe you're seeing if people have questions. Is there anything that's?
Let's see. Let's see if questions. Cryptic asks, what do y'all think of frozen fruit?
Yeah. If you there's a bit of old wisdom that goes, eat not that which has been touched by fire or frost, because both of them are extremities that tend to rob life of all of its qualities, that tend to destroy life in ways. So let's with fruit, for example, let me say this first. I'm not telling you not to eat frozen fruit. There's so many worse choices.
Yeah, right.
And there's so many worse. So don't feel any guilt if you're doing some banana and ice cream or whatnot. Like I've done it. I don't mind doing it. It's not something I do often, but don't feel guilt about that. Just
right.
I don't know what to say. But with fruit, you still do. If you freeze a fruit and then try to de-thaw it, it is now no longer the same fruit.
Oh no!
Right? It will be compromised. The ice crystals will kind of penetrate the cell walls, and it'll destroy them. The fiber. So you can't really freeze fiber. It just work. You can try it. Try it with some fruit, high water content fruit, and it'll just be a pile of mush. Yeah. So the frost does compromise the integrity of the fruit. So how exactly metabolically that works when you digest it, that's the realm of God. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that it is no longer what it was. Okay, it has been compromised. And same thing with the other end of the polarity with heat, right? You wouldn't want to eat too much cooked, well, depending on what your goals are. But the cooked food is also compromised. There's also damage. It is now, enzymatically speaking, no longer what it was. So now, if I had to choose between the two, I would choose frozen over heated foods, over cooked foods. I would go with the frozen foods over that.
I mean, my thing with that is the different, not all cooked food is created equal. And
that's true.
Because
That's true.
some steamed kale is a lot different than some fried chicken wings or something. And,
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, we can't discount that. Yeah, absolutely. Slightly steamed vegetables, you're getting a fantastic meal, and that becomes a hard choice, huh? It's like we always play this. It's like, what's worse? It's like, or what's better? It's sometimes very, very difficult to pinpoint what that would be, but I guess in the end, just know what's ideal.
Yeah.
Just know what's ideal, and then you can afford to make these little variations, so long as you're not drifting way outside of the bounds, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, when you understand, that's why we always constantly talk about transition. And what I try to get people to understand with Arnold Ehret's book is to separate there's the transition information, and then there's the ideal philosophy that he lays out. Like, this is the ideal food for humans. This is the best situation. This is the ideal fast under the best conditions. That doesn't mean that this is what you have to do right away and as fast, because then there's a whole other section of transition that's got vegetarian items and all kinds of stuff for whatever you need. It's like all these tools, and so that's how I look at it. It's tools, and as the kids say, there's levels to this thing, and it's just as you get higher up, you dispense with the lower things, and so somebody might do a lot of, if you're into smoothies or something and you're doing the frozen fruit that way, I don't recommend that a lot. That, to me, that's more like a treat or something to do every once in a while. But that's just, as I always related to smoothies, like with Ehret talks about why soup is not good, where it's kind of hard to for the body to deal with that particular mixture. But like you said, I'd rather see somebody do that than a lot of other stuff. It's just you just get into the refinement, and that's why I talk about this way of life as an art form as opposed to a science experiment, because it's just, we're talking refinements, and so it's like wherever you start is where you're starting. But we can, when you start talking on this level, we're just kind of looking at how do you tweak this, or it's like, okay, well, if I eliminate this and put this over here, how will this change my trajectory? It's like you start, it's just a higher level of discussion, but it's all part of the same discussion. To me, it's all part of that same discussion of just wherever you're at, taking it up a notch and improving and just cleaning it up, because everybody can make those steps. Now, if you want to get on the fast track and you want to get real serious, then it's like, all right, let's go. And then that's a lot of that's an attitude too. There's, when you're getting, that's part of the character building aspect of the lifestyle. Whereas there's certain, because I've seen people that might have all the physical, like physically they could do certain things, but their attitude is not really proper, and then they can't get too far. They get stuck. And so that the attitude, the character, all those, you as a person, that type of that level of development, and that's going to come through in what you end up eating.
Absolutely.
And
and well, I think you brought up something really important there too. When Ehret talks about it's that distinction to be made between the transition and the ideal, right? And speaking in the absolute, speaking in the ideal. And so the new reader is going to come to that, and they're going to see the ideal, and they're just going to zero in on that, because it's so attractive. It's so attractive to want to be in this ideal state, eating this ideal diet, right? Of course, wouldn't you? If I was going to give advice, I would just say, get rid of the guilt, right? If you're on the lifestyle and so now you're informed, okay, now you know better. Don't get rid of the guilt, right? Do make your transitionary steps. Take whatever time you need with that. And when you do, enjoy it. Enjoy the heck out of it. Right? What makes the difference is as long as you're learning from each meal, right? Make sure you're learning from each of these experiences, but don't get rid of the guilt, right? Because that will kill you.
Yeah.
It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna assassinate you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's really gonna weigh on you. And,
Yeah.
And I think people just get run into a lot of problems when every time they have a transitionary meal that isn't the ideal, they get flooded with all this stress and guilt, and it's just like, no, get rid of that, right? Just have fun with it. Enjoy the process, right? Enjoy. It's part of the life. That is the life, right? That transition, and then what happens after, like, is like, just take it for what it is and have fun with it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely have always said, don't be hard on yourself. That doesn't help. That trying to force yourself to do things, that doesn't work. It's applying the principles and techniques, and then letting your body do what it's designed to do is definitely recommended. And
absolutely.
So one question back to the filmmaking. I'm interested that do you so that environment and sort of that culture, because everybody's always fascinated with like the Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. What do you get access to that kind of, like, what's that look like? Because you're behind the scenes. Do you get invited to the crazy parties, that kind of stuff, and you're just like, nah, I'm good, like, thank you, but no, you guys do that. Like, what's like, kind of what do you see behind the scenes?
Yeah. It probably isn't what people are thinking. Right? It's not the it's not the high glam thing. You do get to in my experience as a stunt guy, yes, you do get to go to rap parties. Yes, you do get to go to screenings, like movie screenings, and yes, you get to interact and see the actors, the actresses. You get to communicate with them. If you're working with them, you have no choice. You gotta mingle with them. You have to work.
Right.
Just like any other job. So yes, you do get that. I've heard of sometimes stunt guys getting invited to more exclusive private parties. It happens from time to time.
Yeah.
I've had it a couple of times where the star was having having like a private thing at his chalet or his condo or whatnot, and you get invited there, and it's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's cool. It doesn't happen all the time, but yeah. So you do. It's interesting in that when you're interacting with these people, with the stars and whatnot, it's a job. You just see them as people. At least for me.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do to get the job done at the end of the day, and it isn't necessarily you're not 24/7 starstruck,
right,
unless you have a fixation with whoever it is,
like a particular person.
But yeah, exactly. But some authors I would be just starstruck, to meet. With actors and actresses, it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. But it's not anything that is. It's a job. It's a job. I like it. It's a great job. I have a lot of fun with it. It's where my passions align. And but yeah, it's not like all high glam. You're very often waiting around for hours doing nothing, right, on set.
Oh yeah. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah. Hurry up and wait. Yeah, exactly. So you'll very often be doing nothing, or you won't be waiting in your green room or your holding area. You might be waiting uncomfortably just off set. Maybe it's raining. There's a lot of discomfort that you might have to put up with or experience, and they don't really tell you that when you want to become a stunt guy. It's like, yeah, what's your tolerance for discomfort? you know, you'll be
Right.
you'll be out in rain and snow and just like shivering. There's wetness, you know, depending on there's all these throwing on stuff with a mask, like a helmet or a mask or prosthetics where you can't breathe properly. There's some prosthetics that I've had to wear where it's just like, thank God that I can go to work and just not eat and be very comfortable.
Right.
Which is, by the way, how I deal with a lot of many of my days on set. If you guys are curious, like how I square this with my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very often, I will just go to work and I'm there for the day and just not eat. And I'll do all the physical things that are necessary, do everything that I need to do, and either not just wait till I get home and then have my silly little cantaloupe and mango when I get home, or maybe I even don't eat that evening and then go back to work the next day and then just do it on the next day. So like this, I can very often do that. If I do bring food with me to work, then I'll just, it can be anything, a Tupperware with cut up apples and dates, or a cantaloupe. I'll just, you know, bring a knife or something and just chop it open, at the tray of the cantaloupe, and then, you know, so very simple. But in terms of, yeah, the lifestyle that you guys were asking about earlier, yeah, it's, you know, you're going to work, getting the job done. You do get to see and mingle and interact with the actors and actresses, which is really cool, actually. But, and you do get to wrap parties and screenings, premiere screenings, which are always very nice. So there's a bit of that, but it's probably not what you're thinking.
Yeah, you stay out of the crazy shenanigans that the TMZ kind of stuff, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not really that.
Yeah.
You might, if you're the main stunt double for an actor, like and you know, you're the stunt guy that travels around everywhere with that actor, and you cultivate a good relationship. That stunt double might see some of that. You know, go to the parties and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but you know, you're just like a kind of day-to-day player. You're going to work and then you're coming.
Right. And and the last topic I wanted to talk about, and this was somebody just asked a question here. If they he said they didn't make you get the pokey poke to act in Canada, and so what's the whole COVID experience been there in Toronto?
It's silly. It's silly here in Toronto. It's silly in the States. It's silly everywhere. It's just this fear campaign that is running rampant everywhere, and people are buying it up, drinking the Kool-Aid, and we're you know, oh gosh. I mean, no, it's not mandatory. The poke. It's not mandatory, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to make life as inconvenient as possible, so as to incentivize, you know, the average person to go and dose themselves with experimental therapy, gene destroying therapy, and poisonous adjuvants, and just utter nonsense. I mean, the stuff is so violently bad for you. You wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure that, you know, yeah.
And it's just so and in Canada it was sort of on that list of some of the worst. Now there's places that are worse, but in terms of not being able to travel, if you leave, you can't get back in unless you have the pokey poke. And I know there were some things you weren't able to do, weren't able to travel because of all that. So how's the resistance been? And I know I'm gonna bring up there was a video you shot of there we go. This is looks like a demonstration that there was a thing said it wasn't. They took it off of YouTube. you tried to post this on YouTube and they took it off or something.
Yeah. I once 2020 rolled around and this narrative started to really thrust itself in the culture. I noticed a lot of my videos. I'm started getting strikes all of a sudden, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, what am I posting that's so that's violating these YouTube policies? Like,
right.
Like I would get strikes for just a speak. Getting a strike for just uploading one guy speaking.
Wow.
David Wolf. David Wolf came to speak in Toronto. I recorded it. And put up just his lecture, and they gave me a strike.
Wow.
Like, what is going on?
And I heard about that. David. They just totally ripped him off of everything. I think on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they basically, I think they what the equivalent of like a blacklisting of a person.
Right.
And I think they did that with David, and then now some of the anti-inoculationists, they have done that for some of them perfectly, just people who otherwise would just be upstanding citizens. They're not saying anything real controversial to me, but they definitely took them down. And it's insane.
And the resistance has been good. It has been growing. It's definitely a growing spirit in at least in Toronto, as far as I can see. It's still not the news that you're seeing with those mass rallies in Europe. Going on all over Europe. But 2020 was an incredible year for me. I met so many fantastic people, and it felt so nice to have this congregation of individuals who were online in terms of human rights, natural human rights that we all have.
Yeah.
And very informed citizens and informed individuals who would never have come together and aggregated in this way had there not been some sort of overt threat that we could focus our attention on. And I think it's the silver lining in all of this is that as much as the ostensible authorities are just pulling every trick out of the hat to supersede and to just do away with all of your rights and all of your freedoms, as much as they're going crazy with this right now.
Right.
It's causing a necessary reaction. It's allowing people to really, really kind of wake up to this and focus their attention on what really matters, like really fighting. Of course, that's your health, your wellness, and your freedom. And we're seeing that in Toronto now. We have been since the beginning, but more and more people are coming online. More and more people are getting involved. You're seeing these freedom movement groups just pop up like wildfire everywhere, focusing on different elements. You're seeing freedom groups pop up in individual towns that are worrying about just issues with each individual town all over Ontario. And so it's growing, and it will continue to grow. And I just feel like you can't press truth, morality, and the human spirit for long enough. I feel like it's like as soon as you suppress a truth, I feel that it just builds up an energetic pressure, like a pressure cooker. And the longer it stays suppressed, the more pressure it builds up, and eventually something has to. I really do feel that this is what's happening now, and it's frustrating in Canada. I'm sure it's frustrating everywhere, but lots of places are doing a lot better than we are here. If I'm not mistaken, Texas is doing really well. Florida, I think, is doing really well.
Yeah. There's a few.
Say really well. I don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're really well. There's resistance. There's some resistance, there's forces that are trying to fight against the the mandates and all this stuff, and Ohio's better than a lot of places as far as just recently, but then you get the mixed bag of where there's if there's national or international companies that have already put those mandates and those systems into place, then they just keep them going. And so, and that was almost like that was part of the plan, where it's like, okay, a lot of these grocery stores and wherever they already have all this stuff, they get rid of the mandate, and where they don't feel like because that's still, these are illegal mandates anyway, but even if you believed in them, they take them away, but then the companies don't change because they already built it. It's easier to just keep the face mask sign and just keep everybody, just as opposed to like, no, there's nothing right now. There's no mandate for that. But there's still places that are trying to tell you, oh, you need this. And then you get just private companies that try to have the passport idea, or this, like, you have to show your papers before you can come in. And the craziest ones are these like pizza places and places where it's okay, before I can come in and eat this big plate of pus, I have to show you a card that I got this poison and I'm in the club. I'm in the poisoned club. Now I can come in. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But at least it's here. There's that kind of force that you're seeing in California and New York, and that kind of real kind of totalitarian tyranny going on there is it's not like that here, but yeah, in Florida it seems like that's kind of the safe haven now, because
right. Yeah, and it's what's really amazing about this is, for the first time, as far as I know, in human history, these people are getting incentivized, right, through coercion, through duress, through a state of duress, get death poke for not because they're concerned about any particular health immunity, but purely for economic reasons and political reasons,
right? So
that they can travel, so that they can work, so that they can. It's like, hello, what? Why would you be getting this death poke for any other reason than being concerned about immunity, right?
Right.
But nobody, I barely know anybody who has succumbed to that pressure,
right?
Who did it because they were worried about immunity. They've all done it for political reasons.
Yeah.
Now, if that doesn't scream at you that something is wrong,
right?
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. This is definitely
this is coercion. Yeah, it's social. You're seeing social engineering. You're seeing social manipulation. You're seeing population control. You're seeing an out of control lust to control every single living thing from the top down by a maniacal oligarchy.
Yeah.
An elitist clique that has been in control for a long time.
Yep. I mean, they're just rolling it out. I mean, you can, because everything that's happening, we've all been saying this for a while, and those in the early videos, people get mad at us because they're like, no, it's not going to be that bad. And we're like, no, it's gonna be that bad. It's gonna be worse because people are too slow on the draw. It's like, because way back when I was like, they show up with a gun in one hand and a syringe in the other, and people thought that I was just saying that, like, that I was just being hyperbolic. And I'm like, no, and that's happening. Maybe not in your state yet or your country, but there's places where that's happening. Go to India, go to Argentina, go to, I think Thailand is not, there's a number of places. And now Austria, they're like, everybody has to get it. I think Thailand did that a while ago, and then now Austria, for the whole population. You either have to get it, or it's going to be a $4,000 fine. Eventually, they'll just arrest you, and then once you're in custody, they'll give it to you anyway. And but then the other thing we predicted would be that they're going to come up with there's going to be a new variant every couple months. We'll get, Delta Phi Delta and Alpha Phi Alpha Kappa variant. Like, we're going to get all the variants, and they just announced something now. They're trying to fearmonger on some new variant, and it's like, it's not going to end, until we end it.
It's not going to end. Yeah. Like, guys, and it was never intended to. They told you, we have to wait for a treatment before we can.
Yeah,
get
2
back to
weeks,
normal.
just 2 weeks.
No.
That's
guys,
it.
This is 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Mm-hmm.
This is calculated years and and it's so funny because in terms of how a virus acts in the body, right? And I've put up a lecture on this on my channel. If you guys are interested in how viruses and bacteria actually work, then there's a series that I put up called "Viruses and Bacteria Are Normal, Natural, and Necessary." You can head over to the Female Society. You can check it out. So I don't want to describe everything that I've said in the lecture there, but in terms of variants and mutations, okay. The type and character and color of the viruses that are produced by your own body, this will change and fluctuate like every 72 hours. You'll always be producing a different viral strain because the viruses that you produce are going to respond to the very particular character of internal chemistry that's in your body at that time. And so it's this beautiful fluctuation where you're always adjusting to internal conditions, which always change because you're always doing something differently. You're always eating something differently. You have different thoughts and emotions at a different time, and this always changes. So I see. Oh, thanks, Vadim. Yeah, I'm great. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, so there's the point is. What I'm trying to make is that in attacking variants, they understand very well that they are attacking something to which there is no end. They're very intelligent. They know this. Yeah. And they know that they can just continue the war indefinitely for freaking ever if they attack this phenomenon of variation. Because they know that there is no end to variation.
Yep.
In the way viruses work in biological life forms. They know this.
Yep.
So, they're pulling you along for a very stupid ride. Okay?
Yep. Because, already they got the U.S. announces travel restrictions over the new COVID-19 variant. So they're on it. We got Fauci up here. And they don't even know what it is yet, but they're already, they're saying, we're working with the U.S. and global public health and industry partners to learn more about this variant as we continue to monitor its path.
So
they named this one Omicron. Omicron. So they've been.
Omicron, come on.
This
man.
is like something out of Transformers or something like Omicron.
Yeah. I mean, guys, we've got to know how this type of manipulation works. Just like there's a general set of formula that they always use and they always go to, and they never change it. It's always, they really dig, and when I say they, I mean social engineers, okay, population manipulators, okay, that's what I mean when I say they. You get that's just a whole different subject,
right?
But they always they prefer enemies that you can't actually identify, right? Because it makes it much more difficult for the public to respond, and it forces them to it forces them to put all their faith in the academic community, in the scientists, in the people that know better.
Right.
So this is why they like things like climate change, right? Climate change. Right? This is the big problem. This is the enemy that is going to destroy humanity. So what's the solution? Well, throw all your money at government. That's the solution, right?
Right.
Tax you up the wazoo for carbon, because CO2 is the enemy. Something that has oh my god. They actually label CO2 as an enemy. CO2 is one of the most important and integral elements to life. You can't even imagine how important CO2 is to the atmosphere. For them to convince you that CO2 is the enemy, I mean, what would they convince you of next? Like they're going to go after oxygen, right? Oh my God, oxygen is the new pollutant. I mean, if they can convince you of CO2 is the enemy, they can convince you anything's the enemy.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
well, it's always like the war, the war on drugs, the war on terror,
the war on drugs. Yeah, yeah. It's always going to be some sort of object of fear, right? Oh, terrorism. They used that one for a while until this crap came along.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you know what, the terrorism.
Yeah, they're like,
we're done with that. Let's focus on something else.
Right.
Always.
Yeah. This is. Yep. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pretty much just the script, what they're gonna do, and you can just, you can just really, just as they say, and then we got to show because I guess they're restricting from South Africa. I guess is where this is supposed to be coming from.
Oh, okay.
But
Moderna.
Yeah.
I heard a conversation with Moderna and someone who was recording just an information session with them, and Moderna full on admitted that the current trials, the current experiment trials are what's going on right now. Is the public release of Moderna's fatality-inducing pokey-pokes, right? The current release is the human trials. This is flagrantly illegal.
Yeah.
Okay. This is absolutely illegal. You are not allowed to do this. But they are doing it.
They're doing it. Yep.
And they admit it. They full on admit it. Like, yeah, these are the trials. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen. That's why we've released them in this way. It's like, oh, great, thanks. Like, what? Yeah, guys, there's so much. I mean, there's so much foul play here. I mean, it beggars belief how anybody is getting away with it. I think that's what's really confounding is that so much is happening everywhere, and the obvious illegality, the obvious breach of human rights is not being jumped on.
No.
And is not being seen. Is not being recognized for what it is. And for people like us, it's so bloody obvious.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness. Yeah, it's really interesting. But, this is why these types of conversations are good. We kind of just really need to start saturating the plane with conversations like this, and more people will just tune in, and just really, really, really feed that kind of collective energy that is online to the type and nature of threat that we're under, because it's a critical juncture in human history right now. I really believe that we're living through a very important time where we can pivot in one direction or pivot in another direction. And one will lead to, ungodly horrors, just ungodly, transhumanistic, polluted genes, polluted blood horror. And we really don't want to go there, guys. So like now is the time. It's why it's good to be looking after your wellness right now. If you're at all concerned about immunity, immunity becomes, I'm gonna maybe speak out of turn here, but it becomes a joke when you're living a very clean, raw, mucus-free lifestyle, mucus-lean lifestyle, a transitionary lifestyle, right? Your immunity will be the last thing that you need to worry about. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember what colds feel like. It's been so long. You have a very clean functioning system, and it's a clean functioning system that is synonymous with immunity, right? The two are, they're linked, and it's just not stuff that you have to worry about. What you have to worry about is getting poisoned. Okay, I'm not gonna, if you just drink a gasoline, or if you take in mercury fumes or not, yeah, okay, you might want to worry about that, but it's not that it's not that you have to worry about viruses and bacteria and pathogens. No, this is not how disease works. Right? Disease works because you dirty yourself up from the inside out. Right. So you take care of that battle, and you do not have to worry about walking around people. Like, give me a break. We've been doing this since we were on the planet.
Yeah. And this is, I always think about this when we get into these type of discussions, but part out of rational fasting where Ehret says, look at it from a philosophical standpoint. This interpretation differs from the medieval superstition and the period of fetishism only in the supplemental name. Formerly, it was an evil spirit, which imagination went so far as to believe in satanic personages. Now this same dangerous monster is a microscopically visible being whose existence has been proven beyond any doubt. And he's talking about the microbes, the viruses, these became the new boogie men and women. Yes. I guess we had to say men and women. Yes. Yeah, I mean, this is, Ehret's just bad dude. He nailed all this. And
oh yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, there's so many parts in Ehret's book where you're just reading it and you just smile. I just feel like, oh, this guy is laying it to the conventional theory.
Yep. Yeah, just because and then it's not, I don't think it's in Rational Fasting. It's maybe Tragedy of Nutrition. He mentions it and he talks about it in some other more obscure writings of his, where he used to forcibly try to give himself diseases and viruses. So he gave himself a malaria, and he went through an elimination for 2 days and just fasted, flushed it out of his system, and that was it. And I mean, he got to a point where it became impossible for him to get whatever he was trying to put himself around. He was trying to get himself infected, and it wasn't happening. And
it wasn't happening. Yeah.
Because
some of your
no, go ahead.
Oh no. Okay. I was going to say some of your viewers are probably familiar with Wim Hof, the Iceman, right?
Yeah,
you guys are all familiar with him. And he did the same thing. He went into a lab and injected himself with pathogens and viruses or whatever, just to prove that he couldn't get sick. And it's just, and people watch it and in awe and wow. But what I want to get across is that it's not a fantastic thing.
Right.
That's a very normal thing, because because these bacteria and these viruses, these are not what cause disease. The world wants to convince you that but it's not the cause. And so anybody who is in a state of good, clean health, anybody can come into contact with bacteria and viruses and have absolutely no reaction. Right? I've been in dense, thick crowds every single weekend for since last year. I mean, if anybody should be sick, but that's just not how it works.
It's not how it works.
It's not how life. Yeah, it's not how life insulates you from sickness and disease. That has to be internally generated. It's a result of your own decision making, whether unconscious or not. Maybe it's an environmental pollution or a poison that's in the air, that's coming from fumes or whatever. So, but the point is, it's always poisons and toxins that you have to safeguard yourself from, not from life,
Right.
from bacteria
Right.
and viruses and like agents of life. These things are not a concern.
Right. Oh, here's another good one in the lesson 6, new physiology. Medical physiology, pathological physiology continues to find disease, that is, the cause of disease, with the microscope, and germ theory is now fashionable. And this is 1920, still quite fashionable today. They will never find the truth and never understand what disease is as long as they have a fundamentally wrong conception of blood circulation and disease in general.
Of course, perfect. Perfect. It's just as applicable then as now as it will be in 100 years from now. That's truth for you. It never ceases to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Yeah. And what gets frustrating for us is it's so simple. It's like we don't have to go through. There's so much pain and suffering that is unnecessary, and it would just that raise a consciousness and then action, because people can know there's a lot of people that know this stuff and don't do it and don't take action. You got to take action, but there's just I don't, and that's why I show a lot of images of kind of disease and nasty things and pathology, not to gross people out, but to try to show you, like, this is the path that you might be on, and you don't have to be on. You don't have to. It's not a genetic predetermination that you have to get that disease. You have to go through that pain and that suffering. You can make the changes to avoid that, to go just totally change your path.
Yeah. If we scare ourselves, we should know that it was discovered a while ago that children as young as 13, 14, already at that age have the beginnings of atherosclerosis in their arteries already.
Yeah.
We're talking young kids. Now, the only reason why they would get heart disease in the future is because it's been accruing and building up since the time they were young. And they've done studies on this.
Yep.
They've done cadaver analysis on children that die. And so what is that? They're getting that because they're just on the planet as it turns and goes around? No. That has nothing to do with it. No. It's what is being put in the body. And the body is magic, but it's not completely magic. So you will always be responsible. It's always you. It's your call, right? Unless you're being unwittingly poisoned from some other source. I get that, yes. But the point is, it's an onboarding of bad choices, of toxic material, mucus-forming material that your body cannot cope with very well, routinely over time. And so we're seeing this in these kids is like, oh my God, these are adult diseases preparing themselves to be sick in the future. And and it's not necessary. Like you're saying, it's not necessary. You can avoid it.
I mean, I always look at the baby formula when you look at the ingredients of this stuff that you're supposed to give your child. It's like they have mastered the ability to transition babies into this diet, into the pus and mucus way of life. Because even a baby you have to transition from essentially a liquidarian when you're not eating solid food yet when you're born, and you transition. But it's so if you're just transitioning with just human breast milk and some and those of us that are on this path, we can make some little things, some concoctions that are perfectly fine. But what the average person, the average unfortunate child has to get these this nasty stuff, which is like whey protein is one of the top ingredients, and there's wheat in it and sugar and corn syrup, and it's like, oh, this is healthy, this is what you want to give your baby. And people wonder why, what you're talking about, by when you're, I mean, and then just being sick 7 or 8, 9 years old, you know, just different levels of sickness. And I know how sick I was growing up, and it's getting worse and worse. And we're seeing folks are dying at just a younger and younger and younger age. It's because now, I mean, people are dying in their 40s and 50s. They're getting strokes and heart attacks, and folks are like, I thought, man, they didn't look, they weren't fat. They thought they were pretty healthy. And it's like, no, it's not. That's not what it's about. And so,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the world is not going to support your decision to take your life and health and wellness to the next level. The world will not be there to support you.
No.
Right? There are elements of the world that support you. But the conventional world, so, you know, it's not there for you guys.
No.
I remember, oh God, I think I was in a grocery store, and I was so shocked. I think I looked at the package and went like, I yelled, like, no! I picked up it was this package of candy, children's. The stuff was actually called, and I might be getting the title wrong, but it was actually called something to the effect of toxic waste or nuclear waste.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally, so I was just shocked. I'm looking at it, and on the cover is like kids with their skin melting and whatnot, and I'm like, no, they're actually just telling you how it is. I look on the back to see what the ingredients are. Sure enough, it literally was toxic waste.
Yeah.
Petroleum products
Wow.
and MSG and all. I'm like, you've got to be. I was in shock. Like, I was in shock. You know. Anyway, that's the world. That's where we're at, guys. That's what you got to deal with.
I had to look this up.
And eat your bananas and salad.
Yeah, because that's even if you do the Google toxic waste candy banned. So I guess they've banned it somewhere. It's like hazardously sour, sour with artificial flavors there. Sugar, corn, natural. Really, this is sugar, corn syrup, sugar and corn syrup. You get both of them. Citric acid, malic acid, dextrose, artificial flavors, which is like, beaver. What was that? Those weird stuff that they make that stuff from. Beeswax, artificial colors. This is really something I want to give my child.
Yeah, so this is industry runoff. These are just byproducts of insane chemists.
Right.
Like, this is not. And I'm sure most of your viewers know this already.
Right.
Like, I mean, this isn't going to be a surprise to anybody. But it's just so we're making it clear that just because this is an obvious case of dietary nonsense, that's an obvious case.
Yeah.
But it's just that the rest of the spectrum it's just as silly, but not as obvious. But it's very much just as damaging. Good luck going to your average conventional restaurant where you're not going to be getting food that stifles you, that clogs up clogs up the pathways. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
This is ridiculous. I had to show this. What is this?
Good Lord, what the hell is this?
Cat butt gum. I mean, who?
No, stop it.
Like, who do you? Like, how do you even come up with that idea? Like, this is 8 pieces of kiss my ass attitude.
No, stop. That's not. No. No company is putting this out there. Man. I don't believe you. It's right in front of my face, and I don't believe you. Yeah. I feel like they really get off on just seeing how insulting they can be to the general public's intelligence and still get away with it, right?
Yeah. And that whole
just be cackling behind the desk.
Well, and what makes me think, I grew up with the Ren and Stimpy show. That was like, that you started to see the gross out cartoons started to develop, and it was like, Ren and Stimpy, and this is like that type of. I mean, I could imagine what they're watching now. I don't know what's out there now that's like that, but But yeah, this the kind of gross out humor for really young people. That was and then now you want to eat it. You want to eat the toxic waste, and the poop emoji is probably one of the most popular emojis that's out there. Like we saw, was walking around at a mall years ago with Brother Air, and they had they sold like poop emoji backpacks and wallets, and it's bizarre. As we say, bizarro world.
It is bizarro world. Yeah, it's like a filth and death obsessed culture for whatever reason, right?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, look at it. You just look at it. It's overwhelming. The problems and the misconceptions and the delusions and the conditioning, the social conditioning that goes on with all of these industries, all of them.
Right.
And you pull it all together, and basically what you're getting is this collective environment that is just seems like it's doing everything in its power to divorce you from all that is true, good, moral, and healthy.
Yeah.
From every direction, you will be assailed, right? When you embark on a path where you're trying to do the best for yourself and your family, your children, from every direction, every conceivable direction, you will be getting misleading information. Things will try to deceive you, and you got to be ready for that. You've got to be ready for that. You got to be, do the best you can to inform yourself on how this game works, how the health game works. You've got nothing without your health.
Right.
Okay, this is why I tend to focus on it. You have absolutely nothing without your health. Have you ever, for the bodybuilders out there, the fitness guys, the fitness athletes out there, do you remember the last time you had a bad flu? All that fitness, it meant nothing when you were bedridden. It meant nothing.
Right.
Right. It doesn't matter. Your amazing car, the home in the Bahamas or whatever. That when you don't have your health, that stuff means crap.
Yep.
Right. So you have to take care of your health primarily, and then you can enjoy all of the other things in life. But if you don't have that foundation built, you're setting yourself up for disaster no matter what else that's good and beneficial is going on in your life. You can enjoy your family when you don't have your health, right? It's just, so no better time than now, guys.
Yeah, this is definitely the time. This is because this is definitely a war on healthy people. And they're wanting you to comply, bend over, get the experiment, be part of the experiment. That's all this propaganda. It's like, just come join us, join the experiment. It's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. It's fun. I'm laughing. It's funny, but it's like.
Well, yeah, it's like you laugh to keep from
absurd.
Yeah. We have to do a lot of that on this, but laugh to keep from crying because it's just so pathetic.
Right.
Out here.
Yeah.
And
I
know.
Well,
it's been great having you here on the program, and you have some final thoughts for our community here.
Well, you guys are in the right place. You're listening to the right podcast. If you're tuning into this podcast or anything of the same ilk, then you're trotting the correct path, right? You need to, well, I say need, but if you're so inclined, then both of us would highly recommend that you take an investment into your future, into yourself, into your own God-given spirituality, and lay the foundation for what will be a very rewarding life for you in the present and in the future. And the way you do that is that you avoid the contraptions and the delusions of culture, right? Take after what is as best you can. Take care of what is going into your body, right? The air you breathe, the water you drink, the foods you eat. Okay, recognize your own human sensitivities. Okay, test them out if you want. I'm very, very keen on suggesting that if people want to really, really examine if something is good for them, then take it in isolation and test it in its natural state. Like salts and seasonings and peppers and whatnot. You think those things are doing you a service? Okay, great. Grab a bowl full of pepper and eat it. See what happens. Nature's intelligence will completely take over. You're going to vomit all over your kitchen, and you're going to realize pepper is not food for humans. Right? And there's no ambiguity about this. You need no science. You need no experts misleading you. Right? You can sprinkle a little bit of pepper on your food, yeah, but I don't want to go off on a tangent here. But a little bit of poison is just a little bit of poison, and a lot is a lot. So, anyhow, you treat your body well. Recognize the signs that nature gives you by virtue of your senses and your sensitivities to and your affinities to different foods, and that serves as this kind of unmistakable radar to guide you to the proper things that construct a good human system. All right, pay attention to that. You're in the right spot. Keep listening to podcasts like these, and have fun with it. Have fun with it. When you discover this new opportunity to bring the best out of your life, then don't approach it with stress. Don't approach it with worry. Don't approach it with guilt. Approach it as something fun and exciting that you're going to embark on, and you'll be setting yourself up for success in the future. So, I guess that's what I'd have to say in conclusion. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here. Thank you so much, Professor Spira, for having me and letting me take part in this amazing discussion. And it really warms my heart to be able to share this information with like-minded individuals and get this out into the public. Because, man, like we were saying, no better time than now.
Yeah. This is an emergency. It's like, we gotta go. And I wanted to read this as my man Reese said, I remember seeing an old video Eli made years ago. He dropped a photo of the annotated edition of the Mucusless Diet Healing System, and that's how I got into it. Thanks, Eli and Professor Spira. And as he
love you, Reese.
Yeah, and Reese is in the the research and development team, the Mucus-Free life research and development team, and he told me that that's how he found us.
Reese. Yeah, you're awesome. Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank everybody that we had. Steve was on Juice Guru Institute. Everybody that did the super sticker. Thanks, Lawrence, for that. We got Sherry Likes Fruit. Thank you so much,
Sherry.
And Steve Prusek with the Juice Guru Institute. Appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody for.
Thank you so much, guys,
for being on here.
Thank you.
And it's been a lot of fun. Getting a chance to finally really sit down and rap with you. And and everybody check out Eli's YouTube channel, the Free Melon Society, right there, and link should be to that down below. And this is important work that we're doing, to be out here sharing, to have the courage to share this information, because like you said, a lot of people don't take too kindly to what we're sharing or the way we're trying to live. They want to try to protect they're trying to protect their little way of life, and because they invested so much into that. They just invested a lot into that that society, the hierarchy, the way, and I know you see a lot of the behind the scenes of your job. I'm sure there's some of that that you see just because there's such an investment, and when something comes along that challenges that, then people freak out. They're like, "Wait a minute! Oh, hey, no, I don't even want to hear about that," you know. And so, but this is,
we've all been through that, and I just so you guys know, I mean, when I started coming online to this, I had to be personally insulted. Like I was pretty insulted and offended almost, because of what I was reading, and because it didn't square my reality, and I had that cognitive dissonance, and I had to be a little bit offended and insulted at first, but you know what? Truth doesn't really care about your feelings,
right?
And the sooner that you can align with truth in whatever capacity, the quality of your life just takes off after that.
Most definitely. So yeah, man, I appreciate you being on here. And one last time, I'm gonna put my band. That's my band website there. Check us out. And yeah, as Vadim said, the truth will set you free, and that's most definitely.
It will, my friend. God's perfect. Really.
So all right then. There we go. So until next time, everybody, peace, love, and breath.
Thank you so much, guys. Love you very much. Thank you.
We are mucus-free. We are mucus-free. We are mucus-free.